It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Bringing Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the South Dakota Mines Hardrockers head cheerleading coach, Coach Ashley Von I. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching as a head cheerleading coach?
I started coaching when I was younger. My daughter was about 5, and I have that type A personality where I just like to do things my way. So after coaching the little ones for so long, I decided that, as the kids got older, so did the age groups that I coached. So by the time my child got into middle school, high school, I realized that maybe I didn't want to coach her anymore because that sometimes comes as a conflict of interest. So the when the college level opened, I thought, why not?
Of course, what was that like first starting off on coaching on the high school level?
Coaching on the high school level was a little different because I actually started with being the assistant dance coach. I danced in high school. It was not as easy for me. So coaching the high school level was definitely interesting, a lot of personality groups and all that, but it was a lot more rewarding than the tiny little ones because sometimes it was like herding kittens when they were very young. So
What was that experience like leaving cosmetology to get into coaching and coaching first on the high school level before making that jump to the college level?
no, I never actually left cosmetology. I own my own booth rental. So I still get to do the career that I love, and I also get to coach the sport that I love. So it really works out for me in both favors.
What was your experience like being a director of a football league for cheerleaders?
That was an interesting one. I started coaching the little ones. At one point, I think I had 37 to 42 under me, little children. Um, as time went on, I am friends with the owner of the league, so she needed a little bit of help and direction when it came to organizing all the different teams. There were 12 of them under the Black Hills Youth Football League. So I just helped her set rules and boundaries and set up the cheer competitions and that kind of stuff. So 12 teams under one person is quite a lot. Luckily, I only had to worry about organizing them and the coaches, not necessarily coaching the teams.
How did that help you to then where you are now, getting the job at South Dakota to become the head cheerleading coach?
I think it helped a lot when it comes to the organizational aspect of what I could and couldn't do. The Black Hills Youth Football and Cheerleading is a it's a quite a large organization in South Dakota that it definitely it's progressing. So the little bit that I was able to help with taught me how to properly organize the athletes and the cheer aspect of things, the stunting aspect of things, how to bring stuff together for competitions. So it definitely helped a lot having that much on my plate at one time. So when it came to the college level, only having to worry about one group of kids instead of 12, it was it was a relief.
Of course, what was that feeling like when you got announced to become the head coach for the cheerleaders of South Dakota?
It was really exciting. I had put my application and resume in while I was actually in Boston visiting my brother. And when I got that call, it was just amazing. I didn't think that I had a chance with it, let alone to do it. So when I did get that call, it was an exciting experience to know that somebody else wanted to give me a chance too.
What was that feeling like the first time you became a head coach on the college level and took over a program?
It was almost a surreal feeling. I love cheerleading. It is something that I have always loved. I I went to cosmetology school. I had an offer from a college in Wyoming to do cheerleading. I chose to turn it down to do cosmetology. So I didn't get to experience that for myself. But with cosmetology, we are always doing continuing education. So when I started doing coaching for the little kids, I continued to do continuing education for coaching and safety rules, requirements, all of that kind of stuff that leads you into the professional aspect of the coaching world. So when I did get to go on to the track or the court for the first time coaching the college level, it was a surreal experience for sure.
What was that feeling like when you did get the call to become the next head coach?
It was amazing. I really didn't know if I stood that chance or not. So knowing that I did was absolutely amazing. I'm still very thankful for the opportunity to do it.
After taking the job, what were some of the things that you started to build on, whether it's the culture or even the program?
Well, when I started, the South Dakota School of Mines had actually not had the coach for the last year because of COVID. So all of my athletes were they are a student-led organization. I am the safety aspect of the team, so I make sure everything's done correctly, safely, all of that. So when I came in, they had already had this team formed. So I got to take that first year and see how they did things, and then I then changed the things that I thought would benefit them along the way. So I really, really like to push for all of the school spirit, like the things that the freshmen do when they first come in, all of the little beanie hats and that kind of stuff that they wear when it comes to homecoming. We run the track, all of that kind of stuff that really makes you a hard rocker. I really like to make sure that that is put into our program because those little things are the things that they remember in college that are going to hopefully give them those memories that they're going to hold for a lifetime.
Of course, for a typical hard rocker cheerleader, what does a typical game day look like during the fall for football games versus during the winter time for basketball games?
During the football games, a typical day would be we show up about an hour before practice or before the game to make sure that we run through our stunting and any cheers that we may have to worry about. But honestly, my cheerleaders are amazing, so I don't really have to worry about a lot of that. We greet people as they're coming into the stadium or the crowd. We get our flags ready, so when we score a touchdown, we get to run the flags back and forth. Um, it's the games are typically about 2 hours. During halftime, I do let them have a little bit of a break. Cheering outside can be a little tiring once in a while, so I make sure that they can get something to drink or eat or whatever they may need. After the game, you know, I think a lot of times we just say our goodbyes, put everything away, make sure everything's cleaned up and in a timely and nice fashion, and enjoy the rest of our day. I don't really take a whole lot of extra time from them on a game day just to make sure that they're able to enjoy the college life afterwards.
Of course, what does a typical game day look like on the winter side?
On the winter side, we do show up about an hour to an hour and a half before, make sure our stunts are good as well. The basketball games are a little bit more because we have typically back-to-back games, the women's and then the men's. I only have half of my team cheer for the women's and then half of my team cheer for the men, and they flip-flop on days to make sure they each get to cheer for whichever one they choose to. During the football season, we dance most of the time, like when the timeouts are going. But during the basketball season, we have media timeouts that we actually get to perform a dance of the day during. So we make sure to warm that up before it starts. We make sure to get all the what do we throw some during football season, we throw juice. They play this amazing song called Juice, and we throw it. And then during the basketball games, if we make 3-pointers, we have a wonderful company that sponsors shirts. So we throw 3-pointers out. So we make sure that we have all of those ready for game day so the crowd can go wild. And we make sure that they yell and scream and holler and jump and wave their arms. Otherwise, they don't get shirts. We're very clear about that. You have to have enthusiasm or you don't get anything. So,
What does a typical competition day look like for you as a head coach versus for your cheerleaders?
we are one of those rare teams that don't actually have competitions. We are a sideline team only. We are a D2 school, and technically in D2 they don't consider cheerleading a sport, which kind of stinks, but we're gonna get there. That's all there is to it. So our competition days are really just supporting our teams that we cheer for.
Of course, what has the culture been like, obviously, since you took over the program?
I would like to think that it has grown in a positive way. The athletic program has been absolutely amazing. Even though we're not technically a sport, they do allow us to have our weight training coaches and our athletic trainers and all of that. They really do a good job of making us feel that we are those athletes and giving my athletes the availability to do everything that the football players or basketball players or soccer players may get. So at School of Mines, the cheerleading program is extremely lucky to have a supportive athletic director and athletic team. So I will say that I'm extremely thankful for that.
As a head cheerleading coach, what does a typical tryouts look like, and what do you look at in those prospective cheerleaders during the tryouts?
During the tryouts, I'm going to be honest with you, I am more worried about their attitude, their ability to smile, and their personality than I am about anything else. I know that a lot of coaches want front handsprings, back handsprings, tucks, all that. But because we are sideline, my main concern is school spirit and attitude and personality. So that's my biggest hang up is whether or not they can put a smile on their face and be an awesome person. So typically on the tryout days, we will have sent material for them to review and look over. On the tryout day, we have about a 2.5 hour practice beforehand, so we can see how they work together, how our captains interact with them, and how they would appear if they were to join the team. And then I have 3 cheerleading coaches from various areas around South Dakota come in and do the judging for me. So under no circumstance does anybody think they're on that team because of favoritism or any other reason.
Of course, for my listeners that don't know, what is the difference between a sideline cheer and a competition cheer?
So competition cheer is an extremely fun world where stunting and flipping, and it really puts in the aspect of like gymnastics and stunting into performance that they do against other people, so that is an actual competition for cheerleaders and only for cheerleaders, where sideline cheer is specifically meant to have team spirit, the sportsmanship aspect of cheerleading. We are there to provide support for the football team, the basketball team, the volleyball team, whichever one we are cheering for that day. So our main job is to just be awesome and have great sportsmanship and make sure that everybody's having a good time.
Of course, when going on the road, do you take all of your team on the road or do you take half of your team?
So because we are a small school and we are in the middle of nowhere, kind of, we travel to one place and it's a really big deal when we go. We have one of the biggest rivalries in D2 history. Um, there's actually a nice little write-up about it if you ever want to look up South Dakota School of Mines rivals Black Hills State. It's interesting. It's about a 45-minute drive or so. I do take all of my cheerleaders. We usually take a van or two. It's one of those situations where you don't want to miss it. You want to be there for everything. But we only do that for football season. For basketball, it is just a little too small in those areas to have more than one set of cheerleaders.
Of course, what are some of your future plans for the cheerleading program moving forward?
I would really like to incorporate more stunting, make the program a little bit bigger. If D2 ever wants to recognize cheer as a sport, I would love to do game day competitions. That's quite similar to, well, it is competitive cheer for sideline cheer. It's just a little bit different look. That would be a really neat thing to do. But in the meantime, we will just continue being wonderful cheerleaders for our teams.
As a coach, what is it like obviously seeing your cheerleaders go from being a freshman, putting on that cheerleading jersey for the first time, versus putting it on for the last time as a senior?
It is a very emotional experience for sure. I had 3 freshmen this year come in, and I couldn't be more proud as a coach. You almost become that parent-like figure because they're coming to college for the first time, so you wanna make sure that they have everything they need emotionally, mentally, physically. You just wanna take care of them in all ways possible. But as their coach, I also make sure that they do all the fun freshman stuff. I do make my cheerleaders wear this little beanie hat, that is the opposing school's team colors, and they're called permafrosh until they run around the track on homecoming. And I will make them wear these beanie hats to games until they've run the track. Um, so my little freshmen, I'm sure, love that aspect of my coaching. And when they put the uniform on for the last time, it can get pretty emotional. We just had our last game this last weekend, and I have 5 that are graduating. So it's you're so proud of them for everything that they've done and for graduating, because the School of Mines is an engineering um, college, and it is not easy at all. So to know that they've made it for 4 years on the team, doing everything as amazingly as they do, and also becoming these career driven adults that are just going to succeed in life, it's a very um, amazing feeling knowing that you helped to create those people that you are putting out into the world.
Of course, as a coach, what is it like obviously seeing those cheerleaders go on and do amazing things outside of cheer?
It's really, really heartwarming. Um, Especially when they reach back later and they ask you how you've been or how you've been doing, or just simply say they miss you. It's a really nice feeling to know that you impacted them in any way, shape, or form.
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to go from being high school cheerleaders to college cheerleaders?
My biggest advice for this, and I wrote it down, is to do your research and to ask all the questions. Like, what are the time commitments that I will have to have if I try out for your cheerleading squad? Um, what's in the contract that you have to sign? Uh, are there scholarships available? That kind of stuff. Because a lot of times these student athletes will come in and not realize the actual time commitment that it does take, and they're overwhelmed by it. And I would hate to be the person that put that on them without them asking those questions. So I do try and give them a copy of the contract for them to at least take a peek at and look for. I do value the student athlete over the athlete part. So I do have a few little wiggle rooms in my contracts, but it is really important for any student athlete, not just cheerleaders, to really look at what they're signing before they sign it.
Of course, what advice would you give those freshmen that are entering college for the first time and wanting to become a cheerleader?
Make sure that you are good with time management and make sure that you have the ability to communicate properly with your coach. We, in all aspects of everything, want our student athletes to succeed. And communication is the key to that, no matter what. So I would definitely advise my freshmen coming in to have proper communication and just know that there is nothing we don't want to help you with as long as you communicate with us what you need.
What advice would you give your college seniors that are looking to go on and compete in professional cheerleading, whether it's the NFL, XFL, or even the NBA?
Again, ask the questions. When I was younger, I also wanted to try to be a professional cheerleader. As funny as it is, I am not even 5 foot. So it was not an option for me. They want you to have at least a certain height requirement. I did not have that. But make sure that it is worth the pay that you're getting. Find out the legalities of what you're signing yourself up to do and what you can and cannot do, and make sure that you are able to live off of the pay that you would get based on the time commitments that you are going to be giving that team.
What advice would you give those college cheerleaders that are looking to get into becoming a head coach or even a college coach for cheerleading after college?
My advice for that is to, okay, I had to write this one down. If you love it and you want to coach it, go for it. Take all the classes that you possibly can um, on coaching, sportsmanship, mental health, resolving conflict. Know who you want to be as a coach and hold yourself to a higher standard. Be the coach you needed and always be a positive person that your attitude can make or break a team. So remember how you react to things. It's very important. Your job is never done learning. The day that you think you've learned it all, you really just need to stop coaching. Athletes deserve a coach that has passion for the sport, not a coach that refuses to grow emotionally, educationally, or mentally. So always remember to be better than you were yesterday. If you want to be a coach, you want to help improve others' lives. So take that job seriously, because it's not something that a, a child, an athlete, anybody will always remember how you are and how you treat them and how you react to them. So you want to make sure that you have all the knowledge behind you before you just go and throw yourself into that position.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the South Dakota Mines Hardrockers cheerleading program at?
We are on Facebook. I believe it's Hard Rocker Cheer. And we are on Instagram also with Hard Rocker Cheer. And I think that might be, I think there's those two things. My captains are the ones that run those social media aspects. and they enjoy that once in a while. But sometimes I pop on there just to brag, show some videos.
Thank you again, Coach Ashley Vaughn I, for your interview and best luck in your future as a South Dakota Mines Hard Rock head cheerleading coach.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Ashley Vaughn I, for your interview and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.